And let's see what's happening.
This is Fine Photography, and today I'm here with a guest. Tell me a bit, who are you and why do you do photography?
Oh, well, my name is Alvin Greis, and I define myself as a fine art photographer. And why I'm doing photography? It's quite a tricky question for me because I'm doing photography, maybe not for money, but as a professional photography. It's not an only reason for doing photography. For me, photography is a sort of artistic experience I'm repeating from my childhood and my youth, when I was deeply engaged in fine art, in painting, in drawing. But after that, I step out from fine arts to branding and design, and I just want to return to art scene for now.
Okay, that's really nice. Alvin, I've seen that you've done a lot of ICM work lately. Why do you do ICM photography?
I think it's quite clear for me to do ICM, but I don't want to define it as ICM photography, because ICM is just an effect, but I'm trying to do a sort of thing I'm calling meta photography, where you could see not only the scene, not only the composition, but the gesture itself. So it's not about only photo, but about how this photo was made.
ICM photo, that is of course that when you use, you move your camera in a certain way while taking the photo, which makes this effect, if you didn't know what ICM is. And so for instance, I really like what you're saying, that one thing is the picture that you take, but the other is the gesture of, like, maybe the hand movement or the body movement.
And the point is to incept the gesture, like a visual trace of your gesture in your final artwork. So it could be like a small white point, or maybe some objects blurring in the final composition, but you see the trace, how camera was moved. And the most important part of my work, I think, and I'm still learning how to do it, is to explain what it was, what was the intention in the gesture, and how this gesture make this picture maybe not unusual, but remarkable. Okay. Could I say it? Yeah. Okay. So something completely different from other pictures I made, or maybe other people made. So that's the point, to intentionally include the trace of the camera to the composition, to the image.
Yeah, I really like how you explain it, and it takes my thoughts towards photographers that maybe involve their own hands or something, like if they take a photo like this, they still have their hand there somewhere, somehow. So there's the photo, but there's also a part of, like, maybe even a documentary perspective or something that somehow like includes the things you can't see when
because I think the problem these days, the main problem is in abstract photography is the perception of this photo like AI made or something like that. Or you just move your camera occasionally, or you just wrote a prompt about it and make this abstract photo, because there is no really like a clear object in it. But if you are adding the leaf gesture, the trace of your hand, it makes your pictures more unique, more, how to say, more lively.
You get to be part of the energy in the moment when you look at the result of the picture.
Yeah, and in the same time it brings a sort of individuality in your photos, because we are shaking our hand with our hands completely different ways. So I think it will be difficult to replicate if you are trying to do the same thing. You always will do it by your own way.
Yeah.
So
it's like an artist painting with his brush, but you paint with your camera.
yeah, I define my camera as a brush, and the composition I see through the lens, and the matrix of my camera is a palette, and the camera itself is a brush. And when you are moving your camera, you are painting, you are just mixing your colors on your palette to get the perfect combination of color, of light, of shadows, and maybe with losing of some details, but I'm trying to save a lot of details in my works. But of course it's difficult to recognize it in a small like Instagram format of the final works.
And that's why you like big prints, I've heard.
Yes, exactly, because in a big prints you could see a lot of details on a background after the blurring ones, and it changes your perception of the image absolutely, completely. Dials, there is no signs on it.
Yeah, it's very, very discreet.
But it's a very small amount of buttons and dials, and you could program it
However you want. That's so cool.
And you don't need for like marks. That's why the design is very clear.
Cool.
But it's an advertising of Leica.
And that is why you use Leica. Yeah, cool. I want to take this conversation forward, and you actually mentioned that I think we all are, as photographers, we are always learning, and I think with learning comes a bit of vulnerability. How would you define vulnerability, and what role does it play in your photographic process?
It's not about something emotional or something like be honest, but it's about to understand precisely what you intend and to express it. There is no problem to take a risk for me to be presented, for example, online, if we are talking about photography. For me, I don't feel like criticism very important for me in terms of vulnerability, because it is the main thing. Every time it happens, I'm thinking about how I could improve my next work with reasonable arguments from these critics. So I found just skipping the personal part and trying to find something really important to improve my photography. And maybe because I don't feel my photos are like exceptional or making with very good precision or something like that, I always see them how I could improve it in future. Of course, there is a lot of unpleasant moments, but I just trying to skip it. You're moving very fast, and you found the perfect palette for that. you could look like a Rothko or something like that, like a field painting. But if you are moving slowly and shaking your camera, you became more like gesture painter. So it's a different types of abstract art. If you are filling with color the whole field of your canvas, or you are working with gesture, just drizzling the paint on a canvas.
On your photo journey, you have probably learned a lot of things, and I heard you gone to these photo courses, and of course you have photographed almost like also famous people, and you've done a little bit of this and that, and also this ICM like experimenting. What is something that you have learned that you would like to pass on to someone that is on a similar path as you?
I think the best advice I could make, is to name your photographs, to name your works, to not only name and trying to describe it in a few words. It completely changed the way you are viewing your works, and you are presenting your works to people around you, to social media and so on. People are afraid of mistakes, they are frustrated with their techniques, but sometimes people don't think about the meanings of the photos, and it's much more frustrating if you are technically perfect but your photographs means nothing. And I think it's of course it's not for all of photographers, but if you are thinking about your style, if you are thinking about your progress and about your learning curve, I think the most important part, not to be technically perfect, but to have intention in your photograph and trying to express it. That's the point, that's the truth from my side, and that's the advice, I think.
Nice. So that's something to you who is looking at this, like a challenge for you to name your photos. Give them like an extra thought. Why did you name this photo what you did? What story does the photo tell, or is it just a photo? Is it a snapshot, or is it an intentional thing that you do? And also, if you name your photos, please share in the comments below what kind of names do you often use. I think the names can vary very much. It can vary from the feeling I had in the moment, but it can also be something about in the photo or something different. So if you name your photos, what kind of like tradition do you have with what kind of names do you give? I would like to thank you very much, Alvin, for joining me on this discussion. It has been really nice to meet you for the first time. We have been chatting a lot online, but to meet you here in Espoo and hear about your artistic journey.
Yeah, and it's a great pleasure for me too to virtualize to meet you and to have this discussion, because it's always important to try to define what you are thinking about. It helps you to understand where you exactly are, and it helps to predict what will happen in your future.
Yeah. You can. It helps.
It helps.
Yeah. No one can predict it, but it helps.
It helps.
Hey, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Place a comment, share it with your friends, and if you're somewhere around, or if you're really rich and have plane tickets to me, I would love to meet you and have a discussion on photography with you. So thank you very much for watching Fine Photography. My name is Oskar Lehtineri. With me I have Alvin, and I will share also your Instagram so that people can check out your very beautiful work. So let's do some shooting now, I think.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, thank you very much.